And welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Backstage Pass. Always busy here on the platform, of course, and definitely always finding the best talent out there, or the talent's either finding us. Whatever way you want to look at that here. Brandon Morrell, Kirsty Krause, again, powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com and presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. If you haven't checked them out yet, it is the best whiskey out there. I'm not just saying that because they sponsor us. I've actually tried it since February of this year when they were sponsoring us during CRS. Check them out, easyliquor.com or the Easy Liquor app, or at bangtail.com and get the bottle sent directly to your door. Kirsty, good to have you back. And I tell you what, this young lady packed it up, moved to Nashville at a very young age, and was writing songs when I was playing stickball in the yard outside. Good to have Royale Lynn join us here on the program. Royale, how's it going?
Hi, guys. I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well, and pleased to have you here. So take me back to that story, because I know for me and my brother, we're outside like when I grew up and just playing ball, and you're sitting here writing songs at, in your bedroom at the age of 10 and packing, a truck to move to Nashville and just kind of become this cowgirl that I see now with some great music out there. Tell me about this whole story and this journey. It started from a young age, right?
It did. I actually, my mom would even tell you, I traded my pony in for a guitar. I was like,
Yes.
all I want to do is sing. And she told me a few years ago, which is so funny. She was like, you used to sing in your crib. So and put yourself to sleep. And she was like, we would hear you. And then all of a sudden, we'd hear a huge bang and you'd be out cold because you were standing on the side of it, which is so funny. So it did start at a young age, and I kind of got the bug, and I always wanted to act, and I wanted to sing, and I kind of just wanted to do everything. I'm a terrible dancer, so musical theater was a little iffy for me. But growing up on the farm, I really only had myself and my little brother at the time. So he's 8 years younger than me. So when I was 10, he was a baby. And I kind of learned to cope with growing up and living on a farm, being secluded. If you grow up on a farm, you know what I'm talking about. Summers, my mom worked all summer. So I was kind of stuck to fend for myself. And I think that when I got my first guitar, I started learning, and I was terrible. I was writing these awful songs, but my mom kept every single one that I ever wrote down. She has a big box of them, which is so funny. And I think it was at the age of 10 to 15. That's kind of when I was starting to be like, okay, well, maybe I can sing. And it's kind of that moment of being like, well, what are you going to do with it? So I started entering high school or public school talent shows and doing stuff like that. And then at 15, I got the part of a Canadian Hannah Montana. And I got to tour all across Ontario and sing and be on stage and, learn that I could go blonde and things like that. Wear the wig. And then halfway through the show, I got to be Miley. And I think that at that point in my life, that's when I realized I knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life.
I love that. So playing Miley, did that also make you a huge fan? And then let's also parlay that into, what were some of your influences? What were you listening to? What helped shaped your writing style? And we got all sorts of people tuning in. Hey guys, welcome.
Well, I think that when I got the Hannah part, it was a different world than I had ever been in. So it was kind of in the next stage. So I was dealing with full bands, whereas I was only singing with my guitar or with a track. You know what I mean? Back then you had YouTube karaoke. That's kind of all you had, and dial up. So
Yeah.
You only got internet half the time. My mom, she's a nurse. So if she was on call, we didn't get it. And so I think that dealing with trying to be Miley, and yes, I was a huge fan. I really think that her music really shaped my writing styles, but also, Taylor Swift was coming out at that point. And influences I was a huge Simple Plan, Sum 41. I kind of loved so many genres, rock music, Nickelback, things like that, where songs were coming from all over. So when I started writing, I didn't specifically know country music, if that makes sense, because we had so many different influences and what we heard on the radio and everything like that. So I think that my base starts from Miley, of course, which I guess would have been kind of country in that vein. But also such different influences where, like, if you listen to my music now, like, I'm like trying to encapture so many different influences. And like, if you come see a full band show, like, I love doing Fall Out Boy covers because I think that they're so much fun. So
I love it.
I am like a straight up cowgirl, but at the same time, it's like, music has shaped me in such different ways.
That'd be really fun to be able to go to a live concert and see you do
Come
your version of Fall Out Boy.
Trust me, the band loves it too. They're great.
I'm gonna pull this because
We
I
got
know
a funny story over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We might
Troy's
have
a
to
good friend of the show. So shed some light on this now because Troy talks about.
Royal landed in Nashville. Here, Chevy Spark was destroyed by a deer. The deer ran away unscathed. Oh.
I actually totaled my car that I had bought to move to Nashville. The deer is dead. It died on the spot.
Okay.
But I hit a 200-pound buck and it totaled my car, and I didn't know what I was gonna do because when you buy a car to be able to do this, and then like now I drive a truck, so I would love to see
if that deer would stand a chance.
But yeah, that was probably like 5 years ago. It was super sad. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I like was trying to get down here, and like if you don't have a car, like it's just like everything is so far in Nashville. It's not like central.
Hey, take me through the catalog of singles because go back to 2019. I'm gonna go some old school here, but not too old school. No Saddle, and then get into Alcatraz. From the catalog of singles to the current one now, Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down In. I'm interested in the story of how does the sound change? How does the instrumentation change? Is there a change or a challenge to the recording process from the first single to the current one now? I mean, I know there's different feels and different vibes and different lyrics in every song, but how do you feel like you've changed as an artist from the first one up until the current single now?
I think that I really fell into my writing groove. And I kind of figured out early on, obviously No Saddle and Alcatraz, like those were kind of my first two out of the gate. And I really learned what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And I think that's the biggest difference from then to now is I can sit down with an idea and be like, well, what would I say if I was to be the artist? Now on the flip side, like I do write for a lot of other artists. So I'm like, what would you say? And what do you want to say? Because I think that that's the most important thing. So I feel like now, like Rocket Man, Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down, and His and Hers are like parts of my story that I'm able to release, which is awesome, and people relate to it. So I think that growing up, it's been, 6 years in Nashville and then writing songs all before then, but really tying in my story to and having people relate is absolutely crazy to me. So I would say definitely just growth as a person has influenced all of these songs.
Yeah. And you did say another song that we were talking about before we got on air was Texas Hold'em, and you said it is very personal. So give us a little bit of the backstory about how that song was written and how it came about.
So I have a crazy story, and this song is written from such a personal place. So I was with someone, and like I saw forever, I saw everything, with that person, and one day they just woke up and didn't see me. So I kind of wrote that song in his perspective of what maybe he had felt when he was like, like, I think that you're going to do great things. I just don't think that I'm part of your story kind of thing. Wow. And breakups are always hard. And when I thought of this idea, I hope my best friend Lydia is listening right now. She loves this story. Okay. So I was driving in the car with her. We were going to a round here in Nashville a few years ago. And I literally thought of this idea as we were driving on the interstate here in Nashville. And I was like, oh my God, like, a song idea just hit me. And she was like, oh, you got to tell me. And like, we hadn't written together a ton. Like we have like years ago. And then, obviously we're friends. So sometimes like we just like to like go to the movies and do girl things and like step away from music, because you definitely need that when you're living in Nashville as much, we are like engulfed in what we do. And so I told her, and I was like, I would love to bring you on as a writer, because she's a big, amazing writer in town. Her name is Lydia Dahl. Shameless plug. She's amazing. And I brought in my other best girl, whose name is Hunter Girl. And I was like, guys, like, what if Texas has to hold him because I can't anymore? And we flipped the wording on it, and they were all like, holy cow. And I was like, can we write it pertaining to like what my story was. Like maybe they didn't do anything wrong. It's just like, you know, wrong time kind of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people have messaged me being like, holy cow, like I've been on the opposite side of this. I've been on that side of it. And like, it never gets easier no matter what side you're on. And I think that that song truly is like one of the most vulnerable songs that I've ever written, especially put out. So I'm so glad that you love it, because that one like breaks my heart every time I listen to it.
A testament to a true songwriter is someone that can write for other people from, you know, being in the same scenario, but thinking about it from some other person's perspective. So it's really cool to hear that that's where that song came from. Yeah.
And I loved it too. And another one that we're going to talk about here as we get back from the break is the current single, and Break It Down. We're saving that voice today. She's got that beautiful voice out there, explosive. If you guys know the music, you check her out all over the digital platforms. Again, Trucks ain't for breaking down in, so we're going to just not break down that voice. She's been using that over the last few weeks playing some concerts here. Henry, I'll get to that question in a second, but I want to know about the pandemic and how tough this was for you. And all artists have their different, you know, kind of a personal opinion on what they did during the time off. What did you do? How did you remedy the situation? I mean, obviously you guys were busy. I mean, His and Hers was out there. Rocket Man you mentioned too as well, and leading to the current single now. How did it affect you, or did it affect you at all? And what changes did you have to kind of make during the first part of the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic, honestly, it knocked me straight off my feet. I didn't know what I was going to do. And obviously, like, I'm on a visa here in the States. So, like, if we're not playing shows, like, there's nothing else I can do in the country. And that's just what I face being, you know, from Canada, a different country, and you know, moving here. So I was really nervous, because I was like, you know, how am I supposed to pay my rent? And I lived alone, and all these things were running through my head. So I went back to Canada for a little bit, because honestly, at the beginning, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks, right? And it wasn't. So I actually got to spend 2 whole months with my family. And I don't get to see my family nearly enough, maybe once or twice a year at Christmas. So I actually like valued that time that I really got to share with them, because I don't get that on a regular. I get 3 days with them, maybe. So it was quite nice. It was really hard for me to take a step back from like what I do here and like writing as much and playing shows. It was really hard for me, and I was kind of at this loss, and I was like, I don't know who I am. And like without music, like I just felt like I was kind of, you know, sleepwalking, if that makes sense. And so I got back to Nashville, and I just started writing full time. It was all week, and then on the weekends, like I would see a few friends or whoever I could see, you know, because I lived alone. And then I just kept writing and writing and writing, and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be in the room writing from from Monday all the way to Thursday, and then I want to be on the road Friday to Sunday. And I've kind of kept that mentality till now. And I, you know, write, and then I go on the road, and then I come back and write, and then I'm on the road again. And I'm going to be home. I leave Friday morning again, and I just got back Monday. So, you know, it's crazy. But at the same time, like the pandemic, I think, as tragic as everything was, like I really learned who I was as a person and what I really wanted to do.
Was that a lot of solitude writing, or was it a lot of like Zoom writing with other, what did that look like?
Zoom. Yeah, we Zoomed a lot. Like twice a day. I'm trying to get my writes down. It's crazy. I just, you know, obviously you keep booking and booking and booking, and now we're out in January, and it's like, all right, well now we're on to doubles a day. And but yeah, Zooming, and we did do some in-person writes if they're part of like our crew already, because we were already seeing them like on the weekends and such. Kind of like a family, because we down here, like we don't have our families here. So we were kind of our own support system.
You have your Nashville family.
Yeah, my Nashville family. And that's like I spent holidays with them, and I didn't get to go home for Christmas last year. So I got to spend it with some of my best friends here, and it kind of just made everything. And my cat, Ted, he's over here sleeping.
Here's some little knocking back there too as well. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to knock right now a little bit of Pay some bills here on the show. Bangtail Whiskey, a little word from them. And of course, we'll come back. Henry has a good question and let her think about that. And I'm actually ready for that too, because Kirsty and I want to go to a show. And if we're up there in February at Country Radio Seminar 2022 at the Omni, which I'm making some plans there now, we'll let her kind of think about that a little bit. Come back right now. A word from Bangtail Whiskey here on the platform. We'll come back with Royale Lynn on the Backstage Pass, presented by Bangtail Whiskey. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And we're doing that right here with Royale Lynn on the Backstage Pass. The current single, Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down In. That's a good single just to have. I love that title out there across all the digital platforms. I have a truck and don't want to break down. In fact, I don't think I ever have. So that's a good thing to have here on the show here, presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. So let's answer that question from Henry. Any tour plans? Is it back on full time? Is it looking like something headed into 2022? Answer that for us a little bit.
We are going to get on the road as much as possible. We are working through a few deals right now that should get us, in some more towns across the U.S., which would be great. I would love to come up with the band to Canada at some point when everything kind of quiets down. So definitely we have a lot of shows that are being booked right now. We have a lot of shows that got canceled because of COVID for like November. So we kind of reworking, doing what we can, but I do plan to be on the road with my band. So
I'll have to catch a show if we get up there, especially for CRS 2022 in February. Let me ask you about this. We mentioned the singles and a few of the titles. Give me the backstory on His and Hers, because I really thought that was that feel-good song, that just kind of up and down roller coaster ride. I love everything you put out too, but especially that one really hit close to home with me, and maybe that's, I don't know if that's a guy thing, but the His and Hers track and single you put out, where did it come from? And definitely want to hear the backstory of that one.
So I like to run. I'm like a big runner. It's where I clear my head. I just throw in music, but I don't actually listen. My thoughts just grab me and go. And I was running a lot when we were writing around that time. And I literally full throttle run. And this idea hit me. And I was like, whoa, what if it's like His and Hers and not like his and mine anymore? Because obviously, His and Hers, like weddings and stuff like that. But I was like, what if we flipped it? And obviously, like with Texas Hold'em, and howdy, I love flipping the way that you think that the word's going to go, the phrase. So when we wrote His and Hers, I was like, well, what if it's like theirs? And I'm just kind of watching from like a window kind of thing. So that was such a fun one to write. I wrote that with Hunter Girl again and Joy Beth Taylor, and who I'm actually writing with today, which is so funny. But yeah, no, such talented ladies. And when I explained it, I really wanted to base this, or His and Hers, that track, off of a touring musician. And obviously relationships fall through the cracks, and it's really hard to maintain relationships when you're on the road so much, or, we're career driven people, right? Because this is what we need to do it. If you're here and you work hard to be here, this is the end all be all. And we just want to play shows and write music that relate to other people and get out there and meet everyone. So it's such a different life. It's, being on the road. So that's where that came from.
I love that. And this current single's knocking some doors down. For me, I know it came out at the beginning of August. Here we are in October now. The month's just flying by. Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down. And tell me about how this came about, and I guess the writing behind it. And of course, the album cover I thought was really just well done out there, from photography to everything out there, the song, production, instrumentation. I'm sure this had to be a lot of fun to work on all that, those aspects of that tune, right?
This one was one of my favorites, actually. I wrote this with David Evans and Dan Hudson, and I actually was crying in my truck. So this one is very real. I was crying in my truck over a boy, and I sat down with him the next day, and I was like, you know, those moments where you sit in your vehicle before you go inside, those moments. And I was like, I was torn up that day. So I was like, you know, those moments where like trucks are made for such greater things. They're not made for crying over whomever or whatever. Trucks are made for hauling horses, having good times with your friends, like, you know, putting the tailgate down and watching the stars, like every country song, what every country song talks about. And I was like, I want to flip it all so that, you know, it's like trucks are not made for breaking down in the sense of like crying. And then my truck broke down. As soon as I released that song, my truck broke down.
Oh no.
Wouldn't you know it? I'm sure you were just like almost kind of in a state of shock when that happened. You release the song and then the truck breaks down. Wouldn't you know it too? So many good stories with the tunes you put out. You can really feel the lyricism in there too at the same time. Hey, take me back to this one. I'm gonna go back to 2019, and I know we mentioned the title, but Howdy. And I'm going to say howdy to everybody out there, which is good. But how did this come together from, I guess, a song perspective? This is a really cool song, too.
Thank you. So this one was so someone actually came to me and was like, hey, I want to write this song with you. This is the hook. And, you know, they let me know. Zach Westcott, he came to me and was like, I have this idea. And I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Like, I've never heard it like that. And it's like, how did he do that? And I was like, oh, like, hit me right in the heart. And I don't have like many love songs. If you listen to any of my stuff, like, this is it. And it's so funny because I put that out back in 2019, and TikTok loves it. It's had a second wind. It's crazy. And I think that it's more of like a redneck love song to me. And that's what I kind of like about it. And, you know, like the skull on the side, or the grizzly can, sorry. See, I don't even know my own songs. The grizzly can on the nightstand, like things like that, I think are so like cool and so authentic and real. And, you know, if you're dating someone who dips, like there probably is a grizzly can on a nightstand or like all over the house. So when we wrote that one, I couldn't wait to get it out. And we got to do the music video, and it was the first like glimpse of like me having to act again, which is so funny. But no, it was a blast. And I wrote that with Zach Westcott and Hunter Girl. Hunter and I just click so well in the writing room that when we write for me, I'm always like, oh, I love it so much.
Good.
I love that. And just her name is just a cool Hunter Girl.
I know. She's amazing. She's one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
I love that.
That handle is, it made it so it was easy. It blew up like on Instagram. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that too. Hey, I understand too, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I did do some homework here as we try to do for all the shows out there. Boot Barn Emerging Artist, May of 2021. When you got the news there and you got the call, and I mean, what went through your mind?
I thought they had the wrong number. I was like, you guys want to talk to me? Oh, no, honestly, like I'm big on manifesting. I think that what you want out of life, go and get it, but like keep everything right here, you know? So every day I write down 10 things I'm grateful for and like 20 things that I just would like to happen in my life. And it could be anything, because like it's not like I don't show anybody my list, but like it could be the smallest things, it could be the biggest things. It could be playing the Opry, it could be going for a walk and hoping it doesn't rain. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things. So I had written down copious amounts of times Boot Barn. And I was like, Boot Barn, one day I would love to have a clothing line with them. And it's like, there's just so many things that I love with Boot Barn, and like a sponsorship, things like that. Like I thought sponsorship before, you know, I got the call, but when they emailed me and they were like, hey, we're doing this thing, we would love for you to be a part of it. And I was like, oh my God, like Boot Barn wants my face on their website. Like, this is wild. And it was one of those moments where I was like, manifesting works and it's real. And if you like, you know, like I got to go on the radio and talk about his and hers. Like it played on Nashville radio, and my friends were all sending me videos like, is this you? Like, you're on my radio right now. So I think that has been one of the coolest things that has happened so far. Just having support from them has been incredible. And like, you know, they're helping independent artists who may not get a voice. And like, I'm a huge advocate for like people who like yourselves who help independent artists who don't get a chance otherwise. So it meant a lot.
That's what we're here for. It's what we do Monday through Friday from about the 3:30 to 6:30 time, no doubt. Hey, I got to go back to the audience because I love this one. And this was one I was going to ask, but Henry's going to beat me to the punch as I kind of start a little rapid fire a little bit earlier, which this is a really cool thing.
Sports.
Because it is sports and it is music. You know, sometimes we touch on both and sometimes we just touch on one or the other, depending on what type of show we're putting out. But I do love this question. So I'm going to say yes, but hey, take it away for you.
Absolutely. In my household, hockey was very prominent. Saturday nights were hockey night in Canada. So, it's really funny. Like, my dad is a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan, like huge. And it's so funny because we're from Canada. So my grandpa always loved the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if they were playing each other, it was going down in our household. I do love going to the games. I think that like going to a Nashville like Predators game is way different than like going to a game in Canada. Just because like it's very theatrical here. They have the bands and they have a lot for like people who may not be there to watch hockey.
Okay.
Whereas like in Canada, it is like hockey. Like,
it's like no distractions.
No.
We're about what's happening on the ice.
But I love it. It's such a different vibe. And like, obviously, there's no one like propelling from the rooftops in any Canadian hockey arena.
That's funny.
He comes back with this and he says, yep. Well, you know, hey, Philly through and through. I'm okay, the Flyer fan, because the season opened last night, which was pretty cool. I think it was the Seattle Kraken was the new team out there, which opened in
nice.
Seattle. It was on the road. So the Kraken, Kraken, got a new team out there, and I caught them score. Now, I have seen it in the States, which is really cool, but got some good friends up there on the west side of the province of Alberta that I get to see from time to time. We travel up there. They come down here, and we go up there. I've yet to see Edmonton play the Oilers or to get over to Seattle to now watch the Kraken, or just even to Vancouver, which is his team, the Canucks. So there's a lot of great cool things. And you're right. I've just heard him tell stories about watching it there in his home country and your home country of Canada compared to when they came down to watch it. I think we caught the Toronto Maple Leafs in Tampa one time to see the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's a really cool vibe there. It's more theatrical, and there's like Kirsty said, you don't do a lot of you can talk in a game in the U.S., but he told me if you go up there to Canada, all eyes are just on the ice and don't really chat too much. So it's
I think the last game that I went to was Pittsburgh playing the Predators.
Play Nashville. Okay.
Yeah, play Nashville. Wild.
I love that one too. Good stuff right there. Hey, take me back to this one. We'll continue rapid fire, but I loved what you did with, and we mentioned the title a couple of times here, but I want to get the full story behind Rocket Man, because just everything you did, again, album cover, instrumentation, recording process, everything was great. This one was, I know, one of your favorites too. What was the kind of that huge piece of it behind Rocket Man?
So obviously we have already chatted about my influences. So when I wrote this song, I was really listening to like Nickelback and things like that at the time, kind of like songs from way back when. And I was just digging up all of this old rock music, and I was like obsessed, honestly. And when we wrote Rocket Man, I was like, honestly, Rocket Man, I don't think I've said this on any interview yet. Rocket Man and Truck Same for Breaking Down In are written about the same person.
Oh, that is a Backstage Pass exclusive, everybody. Exclusive. Love it.
But Rocket Man, no, when I went in with my producer and I was like, I want to push this cowboy box that I am in as far as we can. And I want to see what's going to work and, you know, what's not going to work. And I think that Rocket Man, that is my band's favorite song. Every time we're playing, they're like, are we playing Rocket Man yet? And I'm like, it's like one like towards the end of our set, right? So I think that one, I love that. If I could do kind of that vibe forever, I would, honestly, because I love like rocking out. And I think that it's so funny that it's called Rocket Man. And everybody made fun of me and is like, so you're going to put out an Elton John cover? And I was like, no, listen to my song. Like,
far from that.
Right. I wrote that with Josh Wolf, and I made him come back in the room the next day. And I was like, let's tweak this. Let's tweak that. I want to drop this literally like next month. So when I got in with my producers and I was like, we need to, you know, bring this home, but also push as the box as far as we can without getting outside the box, you know? And I think that we successfully did that. I mean, I have people who are straight up cowboys coming up to me and being like, Rocket Man is my favorite song. And I'm like, we did it.
Yes.
Like, we did it.
Yes. Because sometimes for them to say something too, that's a big deal. So the fact that they like took time to say something, you did it. You hit it out of the park.
All right, I'm gonna let you. We'll continue rapid fire here. These are always a little series of funny questions. We touched on hockey there a little bit, and actually, Jan was one of our great viewers from Australia. Tunes in. Sounds like you guys love your hockey, like we love our AFL football or footy here in Melbourne, Australia. So we do go global with the show too. So Jan, we always appreciate you tuning in there too, as well as and see David today. David, all the way from England over there too. He tunes in from time to time. All right, I'm gonna let you kind of continue rapid fire. What you got out of the box? What you got?
Okay, let's go. And again, I apologize. I live in a condo, so I think the whole grounds crew is here today. Is what it sounds like. I opened the door and they were like brooming cobwebs off which never happens. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't stop him. But anyways, I want to ask, because you write so much for yourself and for other people, I want to ask this rapid fire question. Do you remember the first song, the title and what it was about that you ever wrote?
Oof.
And then if
great
not,
question. That is a great. No one's ever asked me that. Clearly.
Touchdown. There you go.
Oh my goodness. It's funny because I can remember the piece of paper that it's on.
Okay.
Which is so funny, but I can't remember the title of it.
Or what was it about?
Oh my God, 10-year-old me, probably
oh boy.
heart's broken, my boyfriend broke up with me, won't hold my hand at recess,
I love it.
I love that. Wow, we've never had that before. That's the first time here on the show. That's wow. At 10 years old too, hold my hand at recess. There you go.
I know. Oh my goodness. I think that I used to watch TV and stuff and try and get inspiration from that. Literally my school is in the middle of nowhere. My small my very, very small town. I really had to get other influences and whether it be from movies or things like that. I love a good movie. I think that, cinema is a huge, I honestly, when I went to college for the 2 years that I was there, maybe 1 year, I studied it and I was how they make it to the scripts, to everything. So I think that I really tied in a lot of things either from books or things like that into writing and other music, right? I was kind of listening to a wild, I'm Just a Kid and Life is a Nightmare by A Simple Plan. I was like, this is genius.
Nice.
All right. Speaking of cinema and / television, any good shows you've gotten into lately to binge watch? And then I guess the second part of this would be favorite movie of all time. What you got?
Ooh, so I love horror. Horror is one of my all-time favorites. Books, movies, anything really. I think that my favorite movie, series, I just finished Squid Games.
Okay.
I've
seen that. So good. Don't judge me if you do watch it and you hate it. It's really crazy and it's in Korean and it's supposed to be the biggest Netflix show of ever. So it's crazy. So I really liked that. So if you are, I'm watching Midnight Mass right now and I'm binging it, which is also another horror thing, but it's on Netflix as well. Favorite movie, I think, would have to be Insidious.
Yeah. That
and the second one. Can I also do the second one?
You can.
Both?
Yeah.
The second ties the whole first one together.
Yeah.
And if you know me, I love horror, but that one is done in a retro way.
Okay.
And I think that's what I like so much about it. It's like an old time 80s, but it's modern.
Yeah.
Really good.
Insidious 1 and 2, you did a double because what had to happen in 1 carried over to 2, and it was just complete story out there, which I think is one of those jolt kind of things that you have out there too. Not to say scary, but if you're in the movie with your significant other or something like that, or watching it late at night, you're going to get that little jump just from the the music and so much of the cinema. All right, what you got for the next one? Yeah, it's weird.
I love it. I was in the plane yesterday and I literally jumped just watching the Marvel, like with Scarlett Johansson that just came out. I like
really
squeezed hands, jumped like.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really good. It's good. Lots of action.
Awesome.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you, because you're so busy, what is your caffeine coffee situation look like? How do you take your coffee?
Okay, I love this question. What do you guys think?
I think that you skip coffee and go for the energy drinks.
Because she runs a lot or is a runner, I'll say a cup of coffee black with maybe 1 sugar.
I say protein caffeine.
Oh, okay.
Shake.
Caffeine. So I take my coffee black, and that is it.
Oh,
that's it?
Well,
Cowboy coffee.
Cowboy coffee.
Nice.
There's a brand that we've supported in the past, and she's a good friend of the show, and she's going to come back here in a few weeks. Independent artist Claudia Heuser, and she's got her own Heuser coffee out there, so definitely going to talk to her about that. That is some of the best I've had. Hoyser Heuser coffee, and it is fantastic. And I still have some little bag left, but I've loved coffee, and honestly, there's only so much I can drink black with that. I got to have that one, just that. If it's too strong, offset it with a little bit of water, and then put that little sugar in there and stir it up a little bit, because there's only a couple of 2-3 brands that I can definitely drink all the way black there. I'm going to go to Jan here. I've not seen this, so she says, being from Canada, the horror movie Slither, Corblund, the Hurtin' Albertans in it. I know Corblund we've had on the show.
Is he like a main character?
I've never seen the horror movie Slither. I probably need to check that out.
I probably have. I'm going to be honest. I think I've seen like everything out there.
That's
but I didn't know that he was in it, which is so funny.
The first I heard of it too. We've had him on the show here, and we've done a lot of great Canadian.
Ask him.
I will have to ask him. I'll have to get in touch with this team and talk about, hey, what was the? I did not know that. So Jan, you educate us as much as we try to educate the audience out there.
Mm-hmm.
Don, thanks for tuning in there. Heuser Country Blend is the best. It is some good coffee out there too. Like I said, I wouldn't put my stamp on it if it wasn't. She's such a tremendous artist too, and her coffee brand it's really good out there. All right, I'm gonna go here. Is there a bucket list vacation? You're like, man, when all this officially comes to a close at some point, we know it will in the next 2 or 3 years, hopefully. Is there a place you're like, man, this destination on the map looks pretty good?
So just to visit or end up?
Visit or vacation or a beach or set of mountains or anything.
Probably. I have been there, but I don't think I've gotten the full experience. So I'm gonna say Wyoming.
Okay. Awesome.
I've been to Jackson Hole. And, yeah.
I have not been to Jackson Hole yet. I'm scared I'll never leave if I go now. So.
Yeah.
You probably won't leave. And I just did I drove through there, went to Yellowstone National Park a few years ago, and then came back down through it. Stopped at one of the Guy Fieri restaurants and didn't disappoint. But once you're there and you see the rolling hills and the beautiful countryside that it is, you will not be wanting to come back to your home state. You won't be coming back to. And I'm jealous of my co-host here, my partner, that was just out in Montana. I saw some of her photos out there and just
gorgeous.
Oh God,
it was beautiful.
God's country is and I've only been to Bozeman, Montana, but that still was, and did some whitewater rafting up there through Canada. But that is a beautiful part of the country. I'll tell you what else is awesome is this young lady is on fire out there.
So awesome.
Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down In is the current single. Check out RoyaleLynnMusic.com for more out there, the tour dates. You know what? You got to keep us updated on everything, the new projects, the new music coming out. We'd love to have you back and play for us. Hope you had a great time. Thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it, no doubt. RoyaleLynnMusic.com and Trucks Ain't for Breaking Down In. And if you have those truck stories, share them in the comment box. And if you've broken down in one, feel free to let us know there too as well. Again, thanks to Bangtail Whiskey. We'll finish out the week tomorrow with Paige King Johnson coming back and doing her thing tomorrow. Always a great guest to have. And then the great Steve Warner coming up here in just a few weeks here on the Backstage Pass. And also big October 28th, get to catch up with a good buddy, Jacob Bryant, here on the Backstage Pass, doing some big things in Nashville there with some projects coming out. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. with Paige King Johnson. Thanks to Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you guys soon. Have a terrific night.